how to factor a trinomial with the leading coefficient using a graphic organizer. So this is similar to what many teachers and books show, but there's one extra little technique to make it a little bit easier, I think, and make the process go a little faster. I actually didn't learn this until teaching for many years. I learned it from another teacher, so it's kind of cool. Alright, so the first step is very simple. You just draw a really big X on your paper somewhere. Okay? And then you look at here and you say, okay, can I factor out any common term? If you can, factor out something first, always. Always look to see if you can factor out a 2 or a 3 or something. Okay? Before we get to step 2. But in this example, I don't think we can factor something out of all 3. Alright. So then what you do is, this part's easy. What you do is you write the product of the first and the third term in the top of your X. Okay? Then you write the middle term in the bottom of the X. And this is simply just to help you stay organized. Okay? Alright. Now we go to step 3. Alright, so this is the hard part, right? But because of this X, this is a little bit shorter. I picked a pretty complicated trinomial to factor the first time. The second one will be easier. Anyway, so we take a look, and what you want to do is you want to find two numbers that multiply to get the top number, but add up to get this. Alright, so I did this kind of fast. So usually what you do is you start with 2, right? Because that's easy. It's easy to divide things by 2. So divide 1008 by 2, you get 2 times 504. Right, you get this, but remember, if you add those two, it doesn't give you this, right? So then you just keep going. Okay, so 3 doesn't work, so let's try 4. Okay, so 4 times 252, okay, but this, nope. But we're getting closer now, right? Because this is 502 when you add these two. But this one is now 248, right? So it's gradually getting closer. So keep going down the line, do it with 6, do it with 8, and so on. Keep going until I found this one. This gave me negative 1008, and it gave me positive 8. So all you have to do then is what? Switch the signs. So positive 28, negative 36 gives me the same negative 1008. And then you switch the signs to get this. So now I have my two numbers that I need. Okay, so 28 and negative 36. Alright, so let's go to step 4 now. Okay, so I got those two values. Do you remember them? Alright, I remember them. They're right here, 28, negative 36. Okay, so now we write them on the sides of our big X. Okay, and then what we're going to do is, here's the part that I figured out later on too, is you take the leading coefficient, this guy, right, and you're going to put it in the denominator of the two numbers you found. Okay, so we got this, 28 over 16, negative 36 over 16. Then we reduce those two fractions. So 28 over 16 becomes 7 over 4. Negative 36 over 16 becomes negative 9 over 4. And leave it as improper. Okay, leave it as improper. You'll need that for the last step. Okay? And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to write them as binomials. Okay? So, the denominators become the leading terms, or the x terms. And then the numerators become the constant terms. Okay? Now, when I first learned this, I was like, no way this works. So let's double check. If you don't believe me, let's do FOIL. So FOIL is first. 4x times 4x is 16x squared. Then outer, this is negative 36x. Then this is 28x. So negative 36, 28. It's going to be negative 8x. And then negative 9 times 7 is negative 63. Alright, and that completes this problem. So I'll do it one more time since this is a pretty complex little trick here. Alright, so here's another one, a little bit simpler. So let's go through the steps. I'm going to go a little faster now. So I'm going to draw a big X, right? Then what do? We write the product of the first and third term at the top of our X, right? And then we write the middle term at the bottom of our X, okay? Then we find two values that multiply to get the top and add up to get the bottom, right? I had to try less because these numbers are a little simpler, a little bit smaller, right? Okay, so I started with 2 again. 2 times 90, right? That's not negative 11 though. 3 and so on. As I get better, got up to here. 9 times 20, okay? But negative 9 plus 20 is positive 11. So then all I had to do again was switch the signs, right? And 9 plus negative 20 is negative 11. So I got my two numbers now, right? 9 and negative 20. Then I go back over here, back to my big X. Then I write them, right? 9 and negative 20. Okay, then what do? We take our leading coefficient here. We put it in the denominator here, right? Next step, reduce if you can. Leave it as improper. This you can't reduce. That's super easy, right? This one you can reduce. Leave it as improper. Then we simply write it as two binomials that you multiply times each other, right? Okay, so the denominators are the leading terms, right? Or leading coefficients of the terms, of the x terms, and then the numerators are the constant terms back here, right? Then let's go ahead and FOIL to double check. So we got first 4x times x, 4x squared. 4x times negative 5 is negative 20. The inner is 9x. So negative 20 plus 9x gives me negative 11x. 9 times negative 5, negative 45. And that completes our problem.